everyone, it's Elaine. Thank you for joining me here today on my YouTube channel. Today we're jumping straight into this card and we are going to be using Pretty Pink Posh BOO stamp set. I've already gone ahead and stamped out the images on a piece of white copy paper. And this is just going to help me speed up the stamping process. I'm using my Memento Tuxedo black ink for this card, because I'm going to be doing some Copic colouring a little bit later on in the video. So I'm just moving quickly through the stamping and then filling up those gaps with the smaller of the images. Once I'm happy with how it's looking, I remove it from the misti and I can start Copic colouring my images. I'm trying my best here not to get my hand in the way and cast a shadow onto the colouring. So I'm using my C markers for this bat. I have listed the colours on the screen. They are also in the description box below, and also a link to the blog post is in the description box where you will also find Copic marker colours. I have sped up the colouring quite a lot. I am only colouring one of each image to give you an idea of how I coloured them and where I put my lighter and darker colours, but they were all coloured exactly the same. So I did grab my markers and sit in front of the telly and finish off the colouring. Some really nice pinks and greens for this candy. And moving on to my ghost, I used B63 and B60. I didn't want my ghost to be flat in colour, so I added some shading along the edge and used my 0 marker to fade out to white. Some W markers for the hat. Really simple colouring. Easy to follow, and I didn't have to be too perfect with this colouring because the big BOO die cut letters will cover a lot of this colouring. Some B markers for the skull and filling in those eye sockets again with those same C markers as I coloured for the bat. Moving on to the big BOO die cut letters, I am going to use that big stamp in the set. I've treated my black cardstock with my anti-static powder tool, and I'm coming in with my Versafine ink and inking up that stamp. I'm inking it up twice. I really want to make sure that my embossing powder is going to stick to all that detail. So here's my clear embossing powder, just sprinkling that on, making sure everything's nicely coated, and use my heat tool to set that and melt it until it's nice and glossy. Sort of a tone on tone effect. Using that big BOO die to cut those letters out. Just securing that down so that they don't shift while it's going through my die cutting machine. So I've cut down that panel to 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I've got an A2 sized card base in black, and I'm lining that up centrally on the card base, making sure everything's nicely secure. I did go ahead and cut out some more of those BOO die cuts to add some more dimension to the centre of the card, just making sure those are nicely secured together. I've put my T-square ruler to make sure that my BOO letters are nice and straight. I always start with the centre and work my way out. Again, using liquid adhesive so that I do have some wiggle room should I need to move anything slightly. I felt like the white in the background needed some detail, so I took the little stars, also in the stamp set, and filled in some of that white background. The colours I've used are listed down below and again in the coordinating blog post. Using my Versafine Onyx black ink to add some of these groupings of 3 dots. And to give some dimension to the spider's body, I use my Jelly Roll black glaze pen. I felt like the front of the card also needed a bit more colour, so I used the same markers as I did for the pumpkin, concentrating the darker colours on the outside, coming lighter towards the centre. And I'm going to be using that Happy Halloween to You stamp, which is in the set. I've treated that with the anti-static powder, and I will ink this up with Versafine Onyx black ink and coat it with clear embossing powder. Once I've melted that with my heat tool, I will just take a sentiment strip die from my stash and cut that out. I trimmed that down at each end, applied some liquid adhesive and secured that down, making sure it's nice and straight with that T-square ruler. And that is today's card complete. I hope you enjoyed it, and this is my first card in my Halloween series, so please come back soon and hopefully I'll have more cards to share with you. Thanks for watching. Bye!